everyone. Welcome to Mobile World Congress in Barcelona. Wireless Week is here this week with Qualcomm, and we will be talking to Serge today about Gigabit LTE. We are very excited to have them as our guests. So Serge, if you want to start off and chat a little bit about all the work you guys have been doing with Gigabit LTE and why it's going to be important in the run-up to 5G.
Yeah, absolutely. So Gigabit LTE is obviously the ability to transmit gigabit stream from the base station to the terminal, and I guess eventually the other direction as well. But it's more than that. It's really a statement and a vision. It's a statement that cellular has sort of crossed the threshold where anything can be done, anything that can be done on fixed lines for consumer can also be achieved on cellular. And from there on, the innovation will always happen on cellular first and mobile first. I think it's also a vision that once we cross this threshold, it opens up a number of new use cases, and it really opens up the transition to 5G, in that 5G is sort of going to be the reconciliation of all this innovation that has happened on LTE since it started into a new common baseline, and then enable further innovation for the next decade.
Great. Can you tell us a little bit about what Qualcomm is doing to innovate to get to Gigabit LTE?
Absolutely. So I think just the point I made before, I think through LTE we continue to innovate, introduce new technologies, and then that'll give us confidence that 5G can happen. And those technologies, for example, is increased utilization of MIMO, which is more antennas on the device on the base station. That allows us to send more streams in parallel to the device. And we're seeing that happening today. And that's actually a key component of Gigabit LTE. The other component is the ability to combine more elements of the spectrum, because spectrum is scarce. Mobile operators don't have necessarily enough of them to achieve Gigabit LTE. So we've allowed operators to combine spectrum that is licensed, that's sort of exclusive use for them, with spectrum that is shared. And that could be the unlicensed spectrum, that 5 gigahertz band, for example, or in North America, the CBRS band, which is a different type of licensing model. But anchoring LTE to get the benefits of cellular, such as reliability, coverage in the lower band, and then augmenting it with additional spectrum is another key element that gets us to Gigabit LTE.
Great. What kind of timeline are we looking at for Gigabit LTE in advance of 5G?
Gigabit LTE is commercial today. As of a few weeks ago, it launched commercially in Australia with Telstra, Ericsson, Netgear equipment. There's been multiple statements in North America from T-Mobile and AT&T that they will launch Gigabit LTE before the end of the year. And then Japan, Korea are always at the forefront, so they definitely have plans. And I think it'll really propagate to most of the markets that are driving advanced mobile broadband.
Great. And last question, I just wanted to see if Qualcomm has anything else in the pipe as far as Gigabit LTE is concerned.
Yeah, we just announced, so what I mentioned is commercial, is our X16 modem, which is 5 carrier aggregation with up to 1 gigabit per second throughput. We just announced the X20 Snapdragon modem, which is augmenting the throughput a little bit to 1.2 gigabit per second. But I think the more important thing is we're enabling more configuration to achieve that gigabit. So whereas with X16 only 60% of the mobile operators in the world could sort of achieve Gigabit LTE, with X20 we enable 90% of the mobile operators in the world to achieve Gigabit LTE in their system.
Well, great. We'll just have to keep an eye on it and watch as those operators deploy.
Absolutely.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for chatting with us today.